Hello, and welcome to the Gooseboyz podcast. This is the podcast where we read the Goosebumps book, watch the correlating episode, and then discuss the differences therein. I'm your host, Aaron Eats, and with me, as always, is...
the other host, Sherwood James.
my co-host, Sherwood James.
You're my co-host.
We go over this like every episode.
Let's say we're co-co-hosts.
I'm the host. My co-host, Sherwood. Today we're doing my Hairiest adventure.
By R.L. Stein.
Well, all of these are by R.L. Stein. Did he ever use any Ghost Riders?
Not that I know of, but
I think he just pumped that shit out.
know.
I think he just pumped them out. So this is the one with the hairy boy.
Yep, boy on the cover, he's got hair.
Looking in the mirror and he's like, oh! It's like a whole Home Alone looking thing.
I was thinking Teen Wolf.
It's a little Teen Wolf.
Literally Teen
Wolf. There's a lot of Teen Wolf in this.
12 years old.
Well, that would be a tween wolf.
If you want to be technical, whatever, man.
Does 12
it's a one into something else.
Does 12 end
Pre-teen.
with the word teen?
Okay, if you say non-teen, then I can't say a preteen is a non-teen.
It's not 10 to teen.
He's a preteen, so teen is in the name.
Okay.
So he's 12 years old and the
story...
nicest boy in town, by his own words.
Ask anyone. He is the nicest 12-year-old kid in town. Larry Boyd, he constantly gets harassed by this roving gang of stray dogs in the neighborhood.
Yeah, he likes dogs, but not dogs that...
Not when they're chasing him. And
so he's running in the snow.
Holding
a guitar case.
And they keep slapping against his legs. And there's the pack of dogs is led by a big black dog with black eyes.
I don't remember that part.
They bring it up twice that this black dog with black eyes leads the ferocious pack of dogs, and then spoiler alert,
it has nothing to do.
Never comes up again.
That specific dog has nothing to do.
Never again. It's brought up twice and then just dropped from the storyline. So yeah,
he's trying to run to his friend Lily's house, who's like a few blocks away.
Yeah, he's trying to get away from these fucking dogs, but as usual, they're about to get him. And usually he would hide in people's cars by just opening their doors and getting in, but he doesn't have the time. But his friend Lily's house is like a half a block away, so he decides to go there, and then immediately slips on a rock.
Yeah,
and
everything goes white. And it turns out he fell in the snow, and so he stands up, brushes the snow off his face.
And he says, "They've got me this time. They've got me." But then Lily shows up and saves him by shoveling snow at the dogs.
She just says, "Get out of here, dogs!"
And she shuffles some snow at him with her shovel.
So, Lily, she's 12 years old, but looks younger.
Toughest girl he knows.
She's tough, but she's short and thin and kind of cute. Has chin-length blonde hair with bangs that go straight across her forehead.
She also has heterochromia.
Yeah, one eye is blue, one eye is green.
In the show, it was one eye is blue, one eye is brown for some reason.
Yeah.
Also, there's a weird bit where he's like, she's pretty cool for a girl in the show.
Yeah.
Also, Larry in the show is like the most stereotypical Goosebumps sounding kid. And also,
he's also a stereotypical 12-year-old boy, like, oh, for a girl, like, oh, girls and boys.
None of that's in the book, though. They kind of
was more played up in the show of, like, oh, boys and girls have differences.
Differences between men and
women. The
message,
the overall, like, theme of the book is way more over in the show. Of, they're kids going through puberty, they're growing hair.
Literally just telling you this in the show. It's...
So, Lily shows up.
And wokeism is ruining Goosebumps.
Wokeism.
This girl boss,
What?
She's gatekeeping. No. So yeah, they
Lily
get
shows
rid
up,
of the dogs,
rescues him,
and they go and meet up with their friends and bandmates
at
Manny,
I think it's
Jared,
Lily's
and Christina. House. Yes, they practice in Lily's garage in the book. In the show, it's unclear what house they're at when they're practicing. They're just in a garage.
So Manny is tall, skinny, kind of goofy looking, has a crooked smile, and curly black hair. So he could be me if I was tall and skinny. Jared is 12. I think they're all 12. But Jared looks 8. And he always wears a Raiders cap.
Yo, just like me, if I looked 12 and always wore a Raiders cap.
In the show, Jared was gay. He was a little gay kid.
I am not gonna get here and
gay
start.
coded.
I am not gonna pass gay judgment on this kid.
Whoa, who said anything about judgment?
I didn't.
We're talking about young teens.
I'm ruling a
into
verdict.
their
We're talking
own.
about the verdict here.
Their bodies are changing. They're getting new feelings. That's the whole theme of the show.
And
I mean, the story.
Jared in the show did a keyboard
The show was
solo.
more obvious. Yeah, Jared, he was like slapping on the keys or so, and they were screaming at him to stop.
Yeah, that's another thing. In the episode, almost all of the dialogue is ADR'd. Because, a lot of it's them walking outside, and it's obvious. It's bad.
The 90s.
But it's it makes every line of dialogue completely disconnected from the other people in the scene.
They couldn't afford on-set audio recording.
Yeah, or, maybe it was just, a windy day, and it ruined the recording.
Yeah.
Whatever reason,
although they had, indoor locations, 2/3 of the time.
Yeah, but those ones, I think it was the original audio. It was anytime they were outside, it was clearly dubbed over. Because, it was genuinely the worst acting I have ever seen in this show. It's bad.
So, Manny, I just said he's tall and skinny, but in the book, everyone's white. They basically say everyone's white.
Yeah.
In the show, Manny is black. He's a black kid. And
Was he black? I thought he looked like a little, maybe Samoan or something.
Some kind of brown.
He was a darker skinned kid.
Anyway,
there's also their third friend Christina, who's
Yeah.
a fat ginger girl.
she's not fat.
She's chubby
with curly carrot hair and blue glasses.
And she was just cut from the
These
episode.
are all descriptions directly from the book.
She's just cut from the episode. We don't need her. It's just three dudes and Lily, the little blonde
Yeah,
girl.
you gotta streamline the characters. So Manny calls out Larry's hair immediately.
Everybody always makes fun of him.
They're
for
always
having
teasing me about my
great
hair. Can I help it if I have really good hair?
My perfect hair.
It's dark blonde and wavy, and he wears it long.
And everybody calls him
Hairy Larry.
Hair on
The
his head,
funniest
hair on his
name.
brain.
And the teasing always makes Larry angry and
it
blushes.
always makes him blush.
Yeah, and that's even funnier.
So-
Hairy Larry's blushing!
Here's the thing with this book. Is the first entire half is pretty much Larry going from situation to situation, terrified at the prospect of getting embarrassed.
Yeah. Oh, wow, that sounds real familiar.
He just says it over and
Yeah.
over of, oh man, if this happened, that would be embarrassing.
Yeah, and at one point he's like, oh, maybe I should tell the truth, but no, I'd be too
That would
embarrassed.
be embarrassing. And
This kid's got anxiety. Hard.
he puts on so they find a thing of suntan lotion.
No, they're all having a snowball fight after, or they're building snowmen after band practice.
That's another quick thing.
Larry looks over and sees a dumpster with some trash next to it.
And he just can't help digging through
So he
garbage.
goes dumpster diving right there.
But in the episode, it takes place in I don't know, it looks like summer, but the
it's like
snow
spring.
is a pretty
It's not
important
cold.
plot
It's
point.
set. It's not an important plot point, but they do frequently mention
It is frequently brought up.
the weather and there's snow around. The snow's turning into water.
He gets cold because of the snow. Can't find things. It's cold.
No, we'll get to that in a second. But he goes dumpster diving and finds a bottle of lotion called Instatan.
Instatan. And in the book, he's he gasps.
Hey guys, look at this.
And they're all like, oh yeah, let's put it on.
Oh, it'd be real funny if we put it on and then we have really dark suntans when we go to school and the teacher will notice.
And they think maybe we played a concert in Hawaii.
That's the point where I was like, oh, these kids are all white. They're all pale in this cold environment.
Which is then weird when in the episode, the darker skinned kid is like, oh yeah, I hope I get a tan. And it's you're not going to get any darker with the suntan lotion.
One of them said, I want to get a tan. He was like, yeah, me too.
Yeah, and it's like, you're already darker than that's going to make you,
He
kid.
could get darker. But then Jared...
Not by taking that shit.
Jared said, oh, we'll be bronze gods once we get this tan.
But then Larry examines the bottle a little closer, and he notices that it expired in 1991. So now he starts freaking out.
No, wasn't that everyone else puts it on and he's the last, and then he notices before he uses it?
That's what I just said.
That's the label.
That's what I just said.
Okay, I was just making sure.
But yeah, his mind immediately goes to, oh man, what if it turns our skin green? That would be really embarrassing. I just couldn't go to school if my skin turned green.
Come on, Larry, put on the lotion.
Yeah, and then he's like, okay, I'll put on the lotion.
They peer pressured him.
In the episode, he like greedily rubs it in like he's fucking Gollum. That was my favorite point in the episode.
He looked so happy.
Oh, he was fucking ecstatic to get that shit. But
he puts it on.
Before we move on or too far, their band is called The Geeks.
Their band.
They were once called The Spirit, but they changed the name a lot.
Like whenever they want.
They're going up in the Battle of the Bands against Howie and the Shouters.
Oh, yeah, Howie and his sister Marissa.
This whole plotline not in the episode at all. They don't even go to school in the episode. I don't even think this
character even shows up.
No, they don't even mention Howie or the Shouters.
They see him outside of school, and then they see him in school in the book.
Yeah.
But he doesn't even exist in the show.
He is not a character in the episode. Lily wants to call their band Pirate Gold because she has a gold coin from her grandfather that's like pirate gold, and everybody else think that that's lame, and the Ginks is a way cooler name, says Larry. Howie seems fucking like rad. He's
very confident. He's always
good at book reports. Always going up there and singing people.
He's the one who challenged them to the Battle of the Bands. So I guess it's only these two bands?
Yeah.
We don't hear of any other bands.
That's the impression
in the entire story.
I get. What I took it as is like, the school is putting on a Battle of the Bands, but it's a pretty small school, so there's just two bands.
Oh, sure, no. It's a school performance, no doubt, but
no,
it's just those two
it's
bands.
Not like that
it's not like a bunch of people are in.
No, there's just happens to only be two bands at this school. And one of them has 3 guitarists, a keyboard, and a singer. And that's the Geeks.
Yeah.
I don't think I need to tell you, that's not how bands work.
Howie and the Shouters is like, they're like the White Stripes, I guess. So it's the guy and his sister, or his wife.
They also
his sister's wife.
They were married in the White Stripes,
so
but then they got divorced.
Okay. I never could tell.
Yeah.
So it's Howie and Marissa, and Larry says, "Why don't you call it the Marissa and the Shouters instead of Howie and the Shouters?" And Howie says, "Because Marissa doesn't rhyme with anything." Well, what does Howie rhyme with?
Zowie!
And then he messes up his hair.
This kid's the best.
What a creep.
Yeah.
That's what Larry says.
Oh, man. I fucking love that kid.
Yeah, so Larry's band, Larry, Manny, and Christina are on guitars. Lily's the singer, and Jared's on keyboard, which includes a drum synthesizer.
So sometimes they have
drums.
Sometimes, if it fits the song, which most of the time it doesn't.
But
despite the fact that they only know 2 songs, which is...
They don't only know 2 songs. They practice songs.
They're only practicing these 2 songs. A Rolling Stones song.
Which they mentioned Eric Clapton.
I think Howie was practicing a Clapton music book or something.
Howie. But they do know how to play I Want to Hold Your Hand.
They know how to play I Want to Hold Your Hand by the Beatles, and I don't remember if they named what Rolling Stones song they learned to play. They usually just said, the Rolling Stones song.
He didn't want to be specific about it.
Yeah. Maybe he did say which one it is, I just forgot to take note.
But they don't have a bass player.
They don't have a bass player or a drummer. They just have 3 guitarists and a singer and a keyboard man.
I'm not a music man, but can't you just take one of those regular guitars and play the notes really low? Play only the low notes?
You certainly could.
Know. There's an idea.
There's also, rhythm guitar, which sort of works for the same thing. It's essentially the same thing of...
A bass?
Not a bass, but it plays the rhythm of a song. It's less doing the licks and the fretting, and more it's just the jugga 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 jugga, playing the rhythm of the song.
Generic backing parts.
Yeah, but it seems like everybody in this band is just 3 guitarists all playing the same song at once. And then they trade off on solos.
Yeah, it's not specified if they're all the time playing.
It seems like they say that they play all at once because it sounds terrible.
They did say Larry and Manny took turns. Like one of them did a solo and then Larry did a solo.
They trade off on the solos, but for the rest of the song, it's just 3 separate people playing the exact same guitar part with no bass.
Interesting.
And synthesized drums.
But they are a bunch of 12-year-olds.
They are not good. as they detail multiple
they're practicing,
times.
and like one of them keeps messing up, like a different one every time. And Larry's like, "Oh, we should practice again, the same song." And they're like, "I don't know."
You're a perfectionist, Larry.
Yeah, he is
but
a perfectionist.
Like, not really.
That never comes up later
Because. And yeah, he fucks up all the time.
He does, which I'm noticing just now, he does notice that, like, oh no, we're messing up, and I'm messing up, and he's messing up, and like, oh, I gotta get it right. He's having real anxiety about his performance.
Yeah.
And their performance.
And he really doesn't want to be embarrassed.
Yeah, he doesn't want to mess up, because then everyone will make fun of him. He doesn't like teasing.
Since we are still... progression
They find the lotion, they put on the lotion.
Within the lotion, funny quote of "it feels cool and creamy." It's like, whoa! And then speaking of another thing,
found it outside. Of course it'd be cold.
Another two things. Oh wait, we haven't gone to the doctor yet, have we?
No.
Okay, no.
They put on the lotion.
Put on the lotion.
Manny is like, oh no, my face! And then his skin, he shows his hands, and his skin of his face fell off, and it's a pile of skin in his hands.
But it's just a wet tissue. A classic Goosebumps fake out. Everybody laughs, and they go have a snowball fight, but then Larry buckles over sick, and then he wakes, or they just cut to him at Dr. Merkin's office. And I want to just talk about this really quick. Do you know what a Merkin is?
American. You're in America.
No. A Merkin is
merc, like a mercenary?
No, well, the doctor in this is spelled Murkin.
Yeah, like Lurkin, but with an N.
A Merkin is a pubic wig, spelled Merrik. Whatever.
Merrik?
Merkin. I'm tired. I'll edit it to make myself seem smarter. No, yeah. So, in the story about hair growth, the doctor's name is Merkin. That's a bit...
Okay, I didn't know that.
That's a bit weird, RL.
You still have to change a letter, but it is pretty close.
It's pretty close. And then,
so he goes Dr. Merkin.
But at a certain point in the episode, after they say the word Dr. Merkin, they say, oh, ignore that. How about some roast beef? I'm not saying... I'm joking.
Well,
I'm joking.
In the show, they did make a focus, without spoiling anything, they did make a focus a few times of, we're eating food. Isn't this food delicious? We all love eating food, right?
Great food.
So he's at Dr. Merkin's.
Because
and
he got overheated.
Oh, yeah. After he got scared from the face melting prank, they go out and have a snow fight, and then Larry starts feeling really sick.
Yeah.
And then they cut to Dr. Merkin, and he's getting a shot of green fluid
that he gets every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks. And his mother mentions that he's always had a sweat gland problem.
Yeah. He has a glandular issue
that's what he sees Dr. Merkin for every 2 weeks. This is non-functioning sweat glands.
So yeah, it's pretty much that's it. He has a glandular issue and overheated, and that's the explanation they give, and they just move on. He
didn't notice because he was cold in the snow.
Yeah. Which, how is he getting overheated? I don't understand how bodies... I don't understand how human bodies work. I'm not a doctor. So it cuts from there to after dinner, where Lily calls him to ask if he's alright. They pretty much immediately move past it and just start shit-talking Howie.
Do you think Howie's pretty good? I think he's okay, maybe.
I think his sister's a pretty good singer, but... You're a good singer, too.
Larry mentions multiple times that, Howie, he's so full of himself. He's so, smirking and happy all the time. And, ha, 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 ha.
Again, they don't do a good job setting this guy up.
No. I think this is great. But continue. We'll get into it.
I think they really just set Howie up to be fucking cool for a while. There's a turn. There is a point where it's like, oh, no, he is a bad guy.
I wouldn't use the word turn. He's not really a bad guy.
We'll get to it.
Yeah.
So then, Larry gets ready for bed.
My name's Larry Allen, and I'm the hairiest man alive.
But as he's brushing his teeth, he notices that something's wrong, and he lets out a loud gulping sound. His hand was covered in thick black hair. In the episode, it was just fucking
a little
stuffed animal, tufted hair.
So he starts freaking the fuck out and immediately assumes.
Well, no, yeah, he starts
immediately assumes like everyone's gonna call me Harry, Larry. They're gonna make fun of me.
That would be so embarrassing.
And he considers for like maybe I should tell someone. No. They'll make fun of me.
That'll be embarrassing.
So he looks at his hands and thinks like, is it growing? I can't tell.
And then he starts searching the bathroom for hair remover.
Which, they don't have any.
They ain't got any, so he has to use his dad's shaving cream and razor.
Which I thought it was just like the non-electric razor.
In the episode, it was just an electric razor. I think for just
sure. That works in the
convenience
episode.
Of getting it out of the way.
But I definitely picture him sitting there
he
it off manually.
Because he cut himself with the razor multiple times.
It only had 2 blades.
So yeah, he shaves it and
it's completely smooth.
After
he shaves it.
Decides not to tell his parents about this for fear of them calling him a jerk. Which they do reference that line in the episode at the beginning where he's like, I must look like a real jerk. Because in the episode he's like running from dogs and hides up in a tree and then it cracks and he falls down.
Well, in the show that was like real cartoony because he's sitting up there, he's almost sneering at the dogs and looks like he's about to jump out and stomp on them, like jump out of the tree. And then he hears the branch cracking, looks down, looks at it, and he's like, oh no. And then it starts falling, he's like, ah!
Yeah,
There's a whole scene.
So he doesn't tell his parents, and he just heads out for school.
He wonders if it was the Instatan.
It's probably... He just kind of assumes it is the Instatan going
and starts feeling itchy immediately after.
And he...
Cut to him, he's completely fine.
Walking to school, talking to Lily on the way.
His mom thinks he's a little pale, but his dad says, nah, you're fine.
And he asks Lily if she's got any
before that. Oh, no, I think we already mentioned it, him thinking about talking to his parents.
Yeah, and then deciding that they would just...
That he'd be too embarrassed.
And it's too embarrassing.
Like, he has the speech. He says the whole thing. Yes. He's like, oh, Mom and Dad, this is happening to me. And then right after says, but that's just what I thought. I didn't say it out loud.
That's what I wanted to say, but I actually didn't. That happens like 2 or 3 times throughout the book. But yeah, he's talking to Lily, asks her if she's got any weird black hairs growing anywhere, and she's like, yes. I do. And then the next chapter starts, and it's like, I'm a werewolf. I've killed 3 people in the woods.
She builds up to it. She's like, oh, I had hair, and then I turned into a werewolf.
Yeah. And
he believes her.
Up until she said she killed 3 people in the woods. Which, you know,
is still
thinking about it now, just talking about murdering people in the woods is a bit fucked up.
That's the point where it's like, oh, okay, you killed 3 people.
Yeah, that's going too just far. Talking about it casually.
A werewolf, though, he bought that part. She said she was a werewolf, and then she said she killed 3 people, and he's like, nope, you're not a killer.
Yeah, she's just fucking with him, but denies the hairs.
She's just messing around, and she thinks it's hilarious, but he's like really upset about it.
Yeah, this one, we keep just, like, hard cutting to just other scenarios within the same chapters. Because from there, we're in Miss Schindling's class.
Well, he gets upset, and then he's thinking about, like, oh, now I don't know if I want to even talk to her about this. I can't talk to her about this personal issue. And then he looks at her face and notices a strange smile on her face.
Yeah, this is my problem with this book, is that, every single thing comes back to, oh, man, I can't progress this story any further because that would be embarrassing. And he just gets up to the point of like, oh shit, the story's about to progress, and you know what? No, that'd be pretty embarrassing.
Sounds frustrating, doesn't it?
I understand if that's the point.
It is the point. Spoiler, that's the whole theme of the book.
But fucking sucks to read.
I'll give you that.
It's fucking obnoxious. Feel like it
dragged on a little bit.
And it's just the same fucking thing over and over and over. He keeps
trying to, like, oh, I don't want to talk to this person. And then eventually he does, and, like, they don't listen to him, or they brush past it and try to ignore him. They don't hear him.
Yeah, he does, like, full-on burst out to his mother, like, I got hair growing on me, all the shit, but she's on the phone and doesn't even listen to him. Hear him. Just didn't hear him. But yeah, we're here in Mrs. Schindling's class, and she's asking everyone to present their book reports. Howie is great at book reports.
Yeah, she calls on Howie first, and his book is about baseball.
He's like, I think if you like baseball, you would like this book.
And Howie's big, chubby, has thick, unbrushed brown hair and freckles, and he's always smirking.
This
He's
kid's
always
great.
confident about everything.
Kid sounds great.
Wearing faded baggy jeans, 5 sizes too big.
Oh man, this kid's
and
great.
a long sleeve, like, white shirt, I'm assuming, but a shiny black vest.
Hell yeah.
This outfit sounds ridiculous. 5 times too big jeans.
I guarantee you that motherfucker's a juggalo.
Could be.
ICP wasn't like juggalo movement wasn't that big back in like what 94, but when that shit hit, Howie was a juggalo. He was running with the hatchet full time. So
Howie gives his baseball book report, and everyone loves it.
It's great. Howie's fantastic.
They call up Larry next,
but then
on his way up, Howie puts his leg out,
his foot out and trips him. Oh!
Falls straight on the ground, and people start laughing.
That's the turn I mentioned of it's like...
Okay, yeah, that was a dick move.
Everything up until then was just him kind of being arrogant. That is like, okay, you put him in physical danger.
Okay, whoa. Let's not go too far, alright? You're just tripping someone. You're not trying to kill them.
I'm not saying you're trying to kill them, but tripping people can cause physical harm.
You could trip and break your neck.
You could!
Relax, old man.
Genuinely could!
This is some child shenanigans.
Regardless,
classic 12-year-old boy putting his foot out. I tripped you.
Regardless, Howie is still the best.
Yeah,
no. And Larry had it coming.
Yeah, that is the worst thing Howie has ever done in this entire story.
And the teacher's like...
He's on it. Larry's on his hands and knees.
You shouldn't trip people. I told you before. And he said, it's an accident.
Yeah.
And then she just does nothing because Howie...
That's as far as that goes.
Howie just gets up to shenanigans, man. You can't cage that rascal.
Larry's on the ground on all fours, and people are laughing at him.
That's embarrassing.
Yeah, they keep laughing at him, and then he notices there's hair on his hands again.
Too much hair. So
he jams both his hands. He's on all fours on the ground. Jams both his hands into his pockets, then stands up. What? How?
I did not read that sequence that closely.
And then he starts blushing, and so everyone's like, "Look, he's blushing!"
Larry!
And they start laughing even harder. This kid is fucking humiliated. His life is over.
And like, basically nothing happened. He tripped down.
Yeah.
That's it.
Very embarrassing, though.
So yeah, he rushes out and he runs to his locker.
Well, he's out in the hall. He's just out there in the hall. And he's trying to get the hair off. He's just looking at it.
But then he hears the principal walk up.
Mr. Fosberg.
And he looks at his hands in shock. But the principal just thinks he's wearing gloves because it's
like, oh yeah,
cold.
Are you cold, Larry?
See? The cold was part of the plot.
Yeah. They mentioned, Lily mentioned earlier it was going to be 10 degrees that day.
10 degrees.
And yeah, Mr. Fosberg is like, oh, you got gloves there? And Larry's like, huh? He's like, oh,
yeah,
you got gloves because it's probably too cold. I should tell the janitor to turn thermostat up.
Cold.
Oh yeah, gloves. Yeah, these are gloves.
And then he puts his real gloves on. And just wears those around casually.
He got the idea to wear gloves from the principal.
Because he's a fucking moron who didn't think to cover your hands.
I'll get the gloves out of my locker. Motherfucker had gloves the whole time.
Fucking Larry. Goddamn worst.
He's not a genius.
Well, there's a good reason for that, and we'll get to that.
So Larry gets the gloves, he goes back, and now it's his turn to give his book report. And when he walks in, Lily's curious. She gives him a look, and he starts his book report on Bruce Coville, or Coville, I don't know how it's pronounced. I would recommend it to anyone who likes funny science fiction stories, because Bruce Coville is the popular science fiction / horror adventure author from the 90s.
Mm-hmm. I haven't read anything of his, but I'm aware of the name.
Oh, he makes R.L. Stine look like not as good of a writer. I didn't want to be too mean.
Makes R.L. Stine look like Malcolm X. So, after class, Lily asks him if he's going to make it to band practice.
After school. They're leaving school.
Yeah, and he's like, no, I'm not feeling too well. Because he did just pass out the last time they were hanging out.
She has to run to catch him.
And her response is, what's your problem, Larry?
I don't think she says it that aggressively.
She literally says, what's your problem, Larry?
Like, what's your problem, Larry?
You can't say, what's your problem?
What's your problem, Larry?
Hey, man, what's your problem? You can't say that kindly.
Yeah, you can.
No, just did. No, that was not. That wasn't natural.
That was pretty tender.
That was not natural. Nobody says, "What's your problem?"
For you.
So,
yeah, he says he's not feeling well, so he goes straight home
and
to talk to
admits
his
the
mom.
truth to his mom. But yeah, she was on the phone, didn't hear him. So he just goes straight upstairs, shaves his hand, and starts talking to his cat.
Yeah, he's playing with his cat Jasper.
Then he has a dream where he's eating hair like spaghetti. Then wakes up to find himself still hair-free, heads down, eats breakfast, and just, heads out happy. Great day,
Yeah, he's feeling good.
But then there's the fucking dogs again.
The dogs show up.
But immediately, Lily
He runs
and
into
Jared
Jared
are right
and
there.
Lily. So then he turns around and the dogs are, like, scared.
Yeah.
And they tell him to go away, and they start to go. But one of them...
Jared laughs because one of these dogs looked exactly like their friend Manny, down to his curly hair and soulful eyes.
Yeah, his eyes.
Soulful eyes. They don't think much of it. They meet up with
around.
the chubby girl Christina outside school.
They meet up with
She's
Christina.
eating a Snickers bar for breakfast.
And Larry's like
Healthy
touching
breakfast.
he touches his neck and realizes there's hair on my neck
Ah!
and freaks out. But then like, oh, what's that scarf you got there? And he realizes, oh, it was just the scarf he was wearing.
But yeah, then he freaks out a bunch more. Then he goes to play basketball.
Gym class.
But he notices his legs are covered in hair.
Before that, yes, he does notice, there's hair growing on his knees.
So he
when he goes to take down
his pants
he
off.
goes down to take his pants down, and he sees his knees are hairy. So he pulls them back up and plays basketball like that. And Howie is real aggressive in basketball. And he keeps shouting, "In your face! In your face!" And he's really good.
Again, Howie is just the coolest. They keep trying to make bully characters in these books, but they're always way more interesting than the protagonists.
Larry keeps talking him down.
Yeah, he keeps trying to keep the cool guy down. Jealous Larry.
Howie thinks he's so great. Ooh, I'm gonna mess up.
Yeah, well, I haven't seen any evidence to the contrary. Howie seems pretty fucking cool.
Kind of like we have a suspicious narrator. So Jared is leaving with... No, Jared is walking with Larry the next day after the basketball.
Yes, to band practice.
And he's talking about like, oh, that was kind of weird. Why'd you have your jeans on? Like, oh, yeah, I was cold. And he's like, oh, that's cool. But that was really even cooler how you made a 3-point shot from half court.
Yeah. And then Larry was talking about how oh yeah, man, all this pent up frustration about the hairs made me play extra good.
Yeah, that could happen.
This just comes out of nowhere.
He's a 12-year-old kid making bullshit up.
Because they played basketball in Teen Wolf, I guess?
Yeah, that was my suspicions. Like, is this becoming Teen Wolf?
I think
is he going to become a werewolf?
I think that was literally the only reason that was in there.
Yeah.
So yeah, they question where Manny has been because Manny
they go to practice,
disappeared.
They go to practice, and Manny's the only one not there, and they haven't seen him.
So
Lily and Larry leave to go find him. Jared and Christina stay back just in case he shows up.
Yeah.
And they go to Manny's house, who lives at the top of a hill. That's very cool to sled down because of all the snow.
Again, the cold is playing into the plot.
Does not let you forget it.
But yeah, they arrive at his house to find it completely empty.
Knock on the door, no one's there, and Larry knocks even harder, as hard as he can, and then the door opens a little bit because it was open.
And yeah, the house is empty, and they figure, that's really weird. The family must have just moved in a hurry. And then they head back to practice.
Even the refrigerator is gone.
Everything's gone. And Larry even admits that, they actually kind of sound better without Manny, because having 3 lead guitarists is a bad fucking idea.
2 guitars instead of 3.
It's still probably too much.
Now that there's not 3 guitars, we can actually hear Lily, who doesn't have a powerful singing voice. So it's
she is good.
Oh wow, incidentally, they're better than before.
So yeah.
It's almost like they suck.
Yeah, they're not very talented. Then
Saturday morning,
Larry's decides
running with his dad.
Go on a jog with his dad, and he decides he's gonna come clean and tell him about the hair, tell him about everything. But the moment he does, his dad
tells him everything.
Very serious.
Then he gets to the hair,
and the dad gets very serious and
gets
pulls him to the car and takes him straight to Dr. Merkin, to Dr. Pussy Wig.
Oh yeah,
that's what that word is.
Okay, I'll take your word for it. So Dr. Merkin gives him another shot.
Another green liquid shot, says, it's fine. Don't worry about it. You're
dismisses all his concerns. Doesn't actually hear what he wants to say.
It's not the Instatan.
He's very evasive about what even caused it. To the point that afterward, Larry keeps asking his dad, like, what happened? What about the hair?
And
his dad says, sometimes the best thing to do is wait.
And see.
Wait and see.
So then, just cut from there. Geeks are practicing I Want to Hold Your Hand by the Beatles. And yeah, they actually, again, sound better without Manny. But they're understandably bummed about their friend moving away without so much as a goodbye. So they try to call friends of the family who might know where they went, but everybody is just as surprised to hear that they moved. They just straight up disappeared.
Well, Larry's asking the group about the Instatan and the hair again. Because there's no Manny, so it's just Jared, Christina,
he decided Lily. He can't go on thinking he's the only one that started growing hair. He thinks
gone a
Lily...
bit far at this point, and he tried talking to Lily about it.
But she got weird a bit.
She wasn't anywhere, she just joked about it.
Yeah.
This time, he waits till practice is done, and he's like, oh, hey, anybody know about growing hair? What about that Instatan? Jared and Christina are hysterical, falling over each other to make fun of him.
And
Larry!
Lily just kind of leaves. Quietly.
Lily doesn't leave. She doesn't really do anything. She just shuffles around on the side, cleaning up the room.
She storms off.
Because it's her house. She's cleaning up papers and shit. And then Larry waits for Jared and Christina to leave. And he asks Lily on his way out about the hair. And she says, I don't want to talk about it. And then slams the door in his face.
But then he discovers his forehead is spread with thick black hairs.
Yeah, he tries to put on his hat. It's like,
what's happening?
There's hair on my head!
So Larry storms into his house to show his parents the hair, but they've gone shopping in another town. We'll be back till late. Larry throws a fit, again, is talking about how embarrassing this shit is, and he decides that he needs to find the Instatan bottle.
Shaves first.
Oh, well, yeah, of course, he's got to shave. And it took a while, and he cut himself getting between the fingers, but it was worth it to not have that hair. So now... his plan is to get the Instatan bottle and show it to Dr. Merkin.
But he last left it in the dumpster where they threw it away.
So he goes there and he starts searching through the dumpster.
He dives in the dumpster again. Twice.
Right back in that trash. Once again.
It's not
hides the motherfucker. He's in there and he can't find it. But then he just remembers, I threw it into the woods like a shithead.
Behind someone else's house.
So then he goes there.
Okay.
And he can't find it. But then he hears a twig crack behind him. Who's there? And then he sees the bottle on the ground and picks it up.
Right next to him.
And then, it was the dogs! It was all the dogs
There's one dog shows up.
The scraggly brown dog.
And then he's like, uh-oh. And then he looks around and then all the dogs are there.
And they chase him, causing Larry to drop the bottle. Bottle breaks.
Flies through there dramatically and he barely misses catching it.
So he just goes home and eats dinner. Doesn't bring up the hair to his parents like he originally planned to.
That part never happened.
Then his parents just go to another school meeting or something. And he just goes upstairs and is sad.
He calls Lily, and she doesn't answer.
No answer. Just like when they called his other friend.
Manny.
And
then he tries practicing guitar, and he's playing a few songs, but he keeps fucking him up. And he realizes he's got hair on his hands! Again.
Now it's Monday.
And
Larry spent forever shaving again.
No, he sees the hair on his hands, runs into the mirror, hair's on his face, too! So he's like a legit wolf man at this point.
And yeah, now it's just Monday and he's shaved again. And he's waiting for Lily at her locker.
All the time.
When Howie and his sister come up and start shitting things up.
Yeah, there's that, Battle of the Bands. My uncle knows someone that works on Star Search and they're going to get us on TV.
Making
mud. Then we'll be famous.
Yeah, I mean, Howie is clearly destined for the stars. This is obvious.
Lily never shows up. So he just goes through the rest of the school day, and then he's going home, and there's a new dog.
Well, no, he considers that, I should probably stop at Lily's house to check on her.
But he decides, I'm just going to go
because home. My mom's waiting on me to do chores, so I gotta go straight home and not check on my friend that's
lives
missing.
A few blocks away?
Yeah, like, apparently on the way to school as well. He could just stop by. So yeah, but as he's on his way home, a dog brushes up against his leg.
He's never seen before.
A new dog. And it keeps following him. And
it's all the way home.
All the way
his
home.
Mom's like, what's that there? Another dog?
And he's like, yeah, I think maybe we should keep her. And
no.
then she's like,
no dogs in the house.
Not happening. We have a cat. We're not going to let that happen. And then he's like, wait
She's
a
like,
second.
oh, maybe you should check the tag.
Yeah, it's got a tag. Somebody owns this dog. And he goes to check it, and it's Lily's pirate coin. And then he looks in the eyes, and they're blue and green.
Before he looks in her eyes, he's like, oh, it's Lily's gold coin. This must be Lily. And his mom's like, nah, that sounds ridiculous. Maybe it's just another coin. Then he looks at the eyes, and he's like,
why would she...
This is Lily!
Why would she give up her coin? That's stupid,
Yeah,
says the mom.
He believes it for like half a second before he sees her eyes.
Yeah.
And then he knows.
Yells that the dog is Lily, which causes the dog to bomb off down the street towards Lily's house.
So he
Larry
chases
follows her, finds her parents packing up. They insist that there has never been a Lily. He's confused. Nobody by the name of Lily lives there.
I think this is the first time they show up in the book.
Yeah.
But in the show, he has dinner at Lily's house.
He, like, smacks corn out of the dad's hand.
I
'cause
noticed,
got all over
first
it.
shot I noticed, top down of the four of them, Larry, Lily, and her parents, there's a big-ass plate of corn on the cob, full corn on the cob, and everyone's got a corn on the cob on their plate.
Except the dad.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, hey, can you hand me that corn? And then he wants to eat the corn. There's a tuft of hair on it.
Oh!
So Larry reaches over and slaps it out of his hand.
And he says, cornworms, deadly!
Here's a new piece.
Yeah, and then,
Then he drops the plate and has to run out of there when he notices
he starts going,
he's got... It's the fur's like growing out of his sleeves.
Yeah.
So he's got full sleeves of hair.
And he runs up to the bathroom and he's like, doesn't anybody shave in this house? As he's looking for the razors.
But, okay, yeah, that was the only time they show up, Lily's parents show up in the book.
Yeah.
So later they show up, and, yeah, they're moving away, they're packing up everything, and Lily's mom, like, grabs him by the arm, and she's gritting her teeth. She says, gotta listen to me, there's no Lily. And then he sees Lily the dog right around the garage, so he turns and runs!
And he goes home to tell his parents, but then they won't even acknowledge it. They're like, whatever, that's weird. Well, you know, whatever.
They're eating dinner. They're just not talking about it.
Yeah. Then the next day, Jared and Christina are like, Lily's moving away? Huh. That's weird.
Yeah, he just says she moved away, but he doesn't mention the whole dog bit.
Doesn't mention that. But...
doesn't even mention that her mom said there was no Lily.
Yeah.
He just says they moved away.
And they decide that they can't let Howie win. They have to defend.
They still gotta do battle
Lily's honor. They gotta do
For
it.
Lily!
For Lily, they gotta do the battle of the bands.
And then Christina, they're about to go practice, and Christina says,
What's that on
your forehead?
It's spaghetti sauce.
But he's fucking scared to death. He thought it was hair.
So,
and they're like, whoa, are you alright? Because they notice he's looking a little weird.
Cut from the spaghetti sauce fake out to the battle of the bands, just right away in this chapter. Howie and the Shouters are all dressed up in outfits. They have
Howie and the Shouters, but it's just Howie and his sister Marissa.
I think, no, they had a full band, they said. They said he had a full band, but they didn't really go into any of those people.
Yeah, I don't remember them talking about anyone specifically.
When they were listing off the things that Howie had over them, that he said they have a full band, they have costumes,
yeah, they have outfits,
dances,
they have choreography.
They had a whole thing.
Marissa was looking fine.
And they sounded great as they played Johnny Be Good.
That was their first song. And then they did four songs, and then the audience kept clapping. So they did 2 more songs.
More!
And they were cheering the whole time. They loved it. These guys were actually good.
These were
Larry knew.
Talented musicians that put in the work.
Larry realized when he saw Howie performing for the first time, apparently.
Yeah.
He never saw him perform at all.
because they talked about how they were good.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So they've seen them play.
But this is, like, the best thing he's ever seen.
Yeah.
And he's thinking, like, man, we should have done that. Damn. These guys are fucking good.
Why didn't we put in costumes? We're just wearing jeans and t-shirts.
Yeah, we're just wearing t-shirts.
These are our school clothes.
Like he never even thought.
Yeah.
And so then Larry's band gets on stage.
The Geeks take the stage.
The second band of the 2-band show.
Or was stage da, whatever.
They do I Want to Hold Your Hand first.
They fuck it up immediately.
Terrible. They keep fucking up. The crowd is silent for all of it. They have some polite applause at the end.
And then they start up the Rolling Stones song and start fucking up immediately.
An unspecified Rolling Stones song, which, name a Rolling Stones song.
It's fucking Painted Black Rolling Stones.
How does that go?
Wanna paint it black.
Oh, Okay.
That one. That's Rolling Stones, right?
The Kubo and the Strings song. I think that's the Beatles, actually.
That's not the Beatles, no.
I don't know.
No, that is definitely not the Beatles. Quick pause while I look this up. Yeah, Rolling Stones. I was right. I'm not a big Rolling Stones fan, but I like that song. The song's alright. They fuck it up.
Yeah, they keep fucking up.
But then
the songs kind of get better. They get
he gets to his solo and he's like, oh yeah, I'm really starting to feel it. Really starting to flow.
He's actually doing it.
The audience is getting into it.
They're clapping.
They're laughing.
They're saying, great special effects.
Yeah, great special effects.
They keep pointing at him, and everyone's looking at him.
And then Larry realizes he's begun to grow hair all over his face.
At the very end, he realizes he's, like, covered in hair.
Yeah, and then they cut to... they won.
No one actually sees him close up. And, yeah, they're saying, that's the beginning of the chapter. We won! We won!
Great. Due to the special effects. But Larry's
Jared and
pretty
Christina.
Sad because, he's such a disgusting monster.
He doesn't explicitly say he's sad.
No, he was pretty sad. No, because, he was, like, upset that he was a fucking monster.
But before that, Larry... I keep getting Larry and Jared mixed up. Jared and Christina are celebrating because they're so happy. And Larry just puts his guitar down on the floor and turns around and walks away. Yeah. And they're like, whoa, Larry, where are you going? And, like, they never even saw Larry. They never questioned, like, where'd all that hair come from?
So, yeah, he's sad and he runs home to find his parents standing by the garage. And he says, look at my hair! Look at me!
Full teen
Look at me!
And they're like... Yeah, we were keeping this secret the whole time.
You're not a human. You're a dog.
Yeah, they say, Larry, you have to know the truth now. You're growing all that hair because you're not a human. You're a dog.
And that's the end of that chapter.
Time skip 2 weeks.
Larry had fully turned back into being a dog because Dr. Merkin was turning dogs into human children. Because he discovered a serum that did this.
Yeah, everyone in town works for Dr. Merkin in some way.
But dogs just didn't last long enough. So no more dogs. He's done with dogs.
Bi-weekly serum he injected into dogs to keep him human. But I guess at that age, they revert back into dogs. At 12 years old, these kids keep turning back into dogs.
Yeah, it's unclear how long they have been children. If they have been since, babies.
That's what I was questioning with the... Let's just keep going here.
Yeah.
He's not testing on dogs. So Larry's chilling around with Lily. They're just running around digging shit up.
In the episode, all of the kids in the band got turned into dogs, and they're doing, funny goofball stuff.
Yeah.
And, Larry becomes a golden retriever that is the golden retriever in the Goosebumps intro. He's like, oh, this looks familiar. And they're playing,
But it's,
boner
happy ending,
yeah.
happy rock, and he's playing with Lily, and they're running around with all the dogs, and Larry sees his former mother carrying a new baby girl, and she calls it Jasper.
And it has yellow eyes.
Right, yellow eyes. So clearly they're testing the serum on cats. But that raises a question to me of, that cat was a grownish cat.
Yeah, that was an adult cat.
A medium adult cat. And he injected the serum into it, turned it into a newborn baby. Close to newborn infant baby.
With cat eyes.
So, we're not sure of the age scale of, is it directly from, the baby age of the animal, or the age of the animal to the age of the human? I don't know.
Not quite clear.
But...
Plenty of room for that in a potential sequel that never got made.
My assumption was that up until that point, they had lived full lives as human children.
Yeah, that's what it seemed like.
So they were turn him into a baby, and then they raised him up to 12 years old. And at that point, human puberty usually kicks in, it became unstable, and they turned back into dogs. Like they mentioned before, he had a sweat gland problem.
Well, that's because
dogs can't sweat.
Yeah.
And he mentioned he liked to run, but
they like to eat meats. And,
they focus on all the food in the episode, because at the end of the episode, they're like, hey, you want a biscuit? And he's like,
how about a steak?
Yeah, he doesn't want that. But then he's like, it's better than nothing, and then starts eating it.
Yeah.
So he got downgraded from real food to fucking dog treats.
Yeah.
But he was fine with it.
Yeah, that's the end of the book. It's the cat is the new baby.
That's the end of the show, too.
Yeah, that's the end of the story.
That Dr. Merkin delivers it to their house.
In the episode,
here's your baby, just so we know that he is part of his experiment.
Yeah.
And it has glowing demon eyes.
Time to get to ratings, I guess.
5 out of 5 bumps.
For the book or the episode?
The book. The episode is pretty good. 4 out of 5 bumps.
The book, I would give 1 out of 5. I fucking hated this one.
You didn't relate to the theme at all?
Goddamn boring, man. It was the same thing.
It's about the length of
over
an
and over. Yeah, and it was fucking boring. I didn't say it was long. I said it was boring.
It was pretty scary in some parts.
No, it was not. There was 0 scares. There was no threat.
The threat
did not enjoy
covered in
it.
hair. That was the actual threat. Was
But like
covered in hair from a mysterious
He did not
source.
do a good job of solving that situation.
It was a
He just kept the
mystery.
secret. It fucking sucked.
Yeah, because he was too scared that people would make fun of him because his body's changing and he can't talk to his best friend who's a girl for some reason.
I have always hated this episode. This is the first time I've read the book.
You've seen the episode?
Oh yeah, I've seen every episode of the show
Of course,
at some point in my life because I've watched this shit over and over. But this is the first time reading this book, and I just don't fucking like it. It fucking sucked.
I thought it was pretty interesting. Because I didn't realize at first it was like, oh yeah, this kid is like, he has fucking mental problems with his anxiety.
Yeah.
But then the whole point is like, oh, it's a kid growing up, his body's changing, he doesn't know what's going on, no one's giving him any answers.
Well, he's not asking questions.
He has some questions. He, like, puts his foot in the pond, or his toe in the water.
But then it's embarrassing,
Yeah,
so
he
backs
gets,
off.
when he does, he gets a poor reaction.
He could have tried harder.
I think that's being fair. He gets a
could have
poor
tried
reaction.
a lot harder.
Sure, no, yeah, he could have tried hard. He could have just come out and said it from the beginning.
Yeah.
But whenever he did, he got a poor reaction, and then it made him withdraw. He had a lot of anxiety about doing anything, performance-wise. Had a real low self-esteem, like how he looked to everyone. And on the flip side, played up how, like, oh, Howie thinks he's so great. That's actually because Howie did have confidence in himself.
Yeah,
he did look like shit. He did actually look like shit with his shiny black vest, long sleeve shirt, and 5 sizes too big baggy jeans.
I think in the modern world we call that drip.
And he was kind of chubby. And
yeah, he rocked it.
Had freckles.
He's like Jack Black, man. He loves it.
He was like a nerdier Jack Black.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that was the point. He had the confidence. He had the charm and charisma because he didn't have that kind of anxiety. He just fucking he was shooting bullets the whole time.
Zowie!
And so yeah, that when he was surprised, Larry was surprised.
Messed up his hair.
Larry was surprised how good Howie actually was when he saw it perform because he's like, oh fuck, this guy's actually doing it. He's got his shit together.
Yeah.
And we actually kind of suck. We're just hearing t-shirts. Because he was so scared the whole time, thinking, like, oh, I don't want someone to call me Harry Larry.
I'm embarrassed. See, that's my issue with this, if it's like...
Classic preteen, teenager.
There are plenty of other ways you can write a story where somebody has anxiety about being embarrassed about things.
Rather than
other than them literally just repeatedly saying... Oh man, it would be really embarrassing if this happened. Really hope this... He said the word embarrassed every fucking page, practically. Almost every page. And I got so fucking sick of reading and writing the word embarrassed in these fucking notes.
I think I wrote it twice in the notes.
I wrote it like 50 fucking times. I got like 10 pages of notes
like, he's
here.
Embarrassed, he freaks the fuck out.
That's the whole book!
Well, you gotta use your synonyms. But you're making it real obvious. You've never seen an episode of Doug.
Well, I've seen plenty of Doug. Quail Man kicks ass. The Beats.
Oh, his literal fantasy character.
Roger, the hero of that show.
Roger was the Howie of this story.
Exactly. Why aren't we focusing on the Howies and Rogers of the world? Why are we focusing on Larry? Larry sucks.
Yeah, why didn't they make the show called Roger?
Yeah! I would have watched that a lot more. Roger is fucking cool.
Yeah.
Where's the leather jacket?
I liked in the show how at one point Roger admitted, like, oh, he does have anxiety. He is worried about what's going on.
I didn't see that one.
That was like the very end of the series, I think.
Character assassination.
Where he like...
Wokeism ruining Doug!
Character development. Because Roger was an asshole. Yeah. But at that point, and this is like 25-something years ago, I'm remembering this, Roger's like, all graduating to high school, because the show's set in middle school. And they're like, oh no, what's gonna happen? And Roger like paints a whole picture with just blue paint, and it's really good.
I was never quite clear on the ages of people in that show. Same with
you were homeschooled.
I was homeschooled, so yeah, like anytime they would just say like grade as a determining factor, it's like, I don't know how fucking old that is.
Middle school is 3 years, it's like 11, 12, 13. And high school
How old was Hey Arnold?
I don't know. I think he was in middle school too.
He could go anyway. He could be in high school.
12,
I
13,
believe
that
that.
kind of age. Well, I remember it as the last year of high school is 17, 18. So you start the last year 17. So it's 17, 16, 15, 14. 14, 18 in high school, and then it's like 11, 12, 13 in middle school. But this is America. We know they use the 3-year system in Japan high school.
Yes, because those are the two countries in the world,
And
America and Japan.
And they start the school year in May, I think?
Golden Week?
But it goes directly from the last year to the new year, and then they have a summer break. I don't know. I'm just going off of anime.
I don't know how American school works, let alone Japan.
Yeah, you never went to school.
I went to college for one semester.
You were never in these situations where everyone's going to laugh at you because you didn't want to hand out papers. That literally happened to me at one point.
Just hand out the fucking papers.
No, dude.
Why?
Don't make fun of me.
That would be so embarrassing if they made fun of me for handing out the papers.
I related a lot to Larry in some parts.
I did not. I have always been a bold and brash young man. And Larry is
anxiety? Fuck off.
I have anxiety, but my anxiety is not built around the idea of, oh man, if imaginary scenario happened, I would be so embarrassed.
Have you heard of anxiety?
Yeah, that's not how mine manifests.
You hear yourself speak?
This is just fucking obnoxious. Just get it together, Larry.
Fuck this guy.
Yeah, fuck this fucking kid.
2 stars.
I said 1.
Okay.
I didn't give it 2 bumps. I'll give the episode 2 bumps just for the golden retriever bit at the end.
For a Goosebumps book, which it's R.L. Stein, child writer, adult writer for children. Mm-hmm. I think this is actually more interesting to me personally than a lot of other books where it's like, this one was full of fake scares. It's still R.L. Stein.
It's the Goosebumps.
But like the character actually had something behind it.
It didn't resonate
Gabe?
for me.
Remember Gabe from the Mummy ones?
Alright, say what you want about Larry. He's no fucking Gabe.
Talking about his cute cousin.
He got his summoner.
Always
Larry was in a band
and getting lost in mummy caves.
Larry was in a band and Larry had friends.
Yeah, he was in a band. Give him that.
He had a passion.
Play guitar.
He had a passion and a skill set and a social community that backed it up.
But he was still full of anxiety. But he was actually a dog, so
that's
the obvious part of the story, though.
Let's write a sequel to this. I have so many ideas.
Hairiest
this one
adventure.
Is so much more open. What I would do with the sequel is Dr. Merkin, like, now that we know the twist of he's turning animals to people, now we get all the different types of animals, like,
direct sequel.
This person's a cockatoo, or got a fucking...
Whoa. Are these animals being turned into humans?
Yes.
And are discovering that they are actually not human?
No, he's trying a new formula, and he's trying to educate them as it's like, you were an animal, now you're taking human form. They'll be going into, like, full adult, because that's the way this new formula works.
He perfected it.
He makes it so it's, just 1-to-1 translates animal to person. And, like, it's this whole town of animal people. Sort of
trans animals.
Yes, it would be sort of like a Island of Dr. Moreau, but with the pussy wig guy.
What?
Dr. Merkin.
Oh, okay.
I've made this stupid joke multiple times. That's what I would do, and yeah. Larry would come back. Larry would be like the old guard dog, and then
he's still a dog.
Yeah, well, because he was a dog. So then,
but
no, let me get to it. So he's now like an older dog. All the other friends of his have died. He's like the last one of them, and it's like, I've perfected the formula, Larry. I need to turn you into a human to figure out what's going on in the mystery of this neighborhood, because something's going crazy.
Oh, there's a mystery.
There's a Goosebumps. There's got to be a spook or a specter of something.
From what you're saying, I wasn't sure.
Well, there is, and he has to get Larry.
Mystery?
I don't know. I haven't thought that far ahead. There is a mystery.
Okay, I'm jumping too far ahead.
And Larry has to become human to investigate it. So then, yeah, we get that, and then we find out that Howie was some other kind of animal that wasn't a dog, and he was like a...
Howie, Zowie,
Howie, Yowie, Bowie.
Yeah, what would Howie be?
Like a seal or something.
Is Howie a villain?
Howie would be like... He's really popular still. Everybody loves him. He's like in local politics, but he hasn't
politics.
He hasn't risen to the top of the game yet. He's trying to...
He gave up his rock career years ago.
Well, no, he leverages his rock career in his political campaigns. He'll always, like, pull out a guitar, start jamming out, winning over the crowd.
But he was never turned back into an animal.
Not that we know of.
He
we don't
remained
know what
human
his,
so long,
yeah.
so he's one of the strongest animals.
Mhm.
Like, the serum was perfected from him on day one.
Dr. Merkin used his blood in order to perfect the whole thing. And Howie is really... He's at the center of all this. Howie is the most important character in My Hairiest Adventure 2. My Hairier Adventure.
Okay, I'd read it.
What would a good versus for this be? Because there's not really like a...
He turns into a dog.
There's not really... Yeah, there's not like an antagonist,
It's that
really.
one movie where skinwalkers, sleepwalkers...
Is that the one with the incest cat people?
Yeah, they're cat people. They turn into cats.
I watched that one because they role play as like a mother-son incest thing, and I was like,
So that's why you watched
That's
it. Okay.
curious. That's a very curious setup,
It's
Stephen
a curious
King.
thing to say.
Let's see what you got with this Stephen King, and it was weird. It wasn't a good movie.
Stephen King.
Yeah, Stephen King, what a hero that guy is.
He did drugs.
Oh yeah, and like anytime I'm ever worried about something in my writing being too stupid or edgy, I just think at least it's not a child orgy in the sewers.
My first thought, child orgy.
At least it's not the child orgy.
Don't write that.
Yeah, what the fuck? I don't care what kind of coke you're doing, Steven. Stop!
I
Stop!
haven't actually read the full book yet, so, like, does it actually pay off in some way?
I could make it more than fucking 200 pages, man.
Bang.
Could make it more than 200 pages in that fucking thing. Because, as I've said many times, you spend, like, 30 pages with the wife of the dead character's prom night. And her date with a man that is not the character that was part of the loser team that died in the beginning of the story.
Loser.
Like Lover.
That's clever. That's good writing.
Alright, yeah, we're rambling.
Oh, that's related.
What else do we usually do on this podcast? We haven't gotten any emails. I checked that earlier.
Trivia. The only trivia I found is Bruce Coville is bisexual.
Just like me.
Yeah, I read it on the internet.
Well, hot dog.
And he's, like, married with children, so...
Love that show.
Good for him.
Great stuff.
Never really got into it.
Really? Too black for you?
Name one black character on Married with Children.
Oh, I was thinking of fucking My Wife and Kids.
Oh, okay. That is a black show.
That's the show I was thinking of. I also love Married with Children, though. Yeah, Al Bundy. Fucking classic. Wasn't there a black guy on there? Didn't
Ted Bundy. I don't know.
I think there was a black guy that worked at the shoe store at one point. Because he worked at like a Foot Locker.
I didn't watch that show.
I watched the shit out of that show, man.
It always seems so trashy to me.
Well, that was kind of the joke. It was that they're miserable, disgusting
It's like
people.
you and Malcolm in the Middle. You never watched that because it seems so trashy.
Well, I did watch a lot of it, actually.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, I watched, like, years and years of it. I just never cared that much for it because
Did you see the end?
No.
Where Malcolm
you talked
is
about
gonna
it
become
before.
president?
Yeah, but he's like a janitor because it's like you
Yeah,
gotta work
he's a
his way
janitor
through
at Harvard so he can fund his education because he's going to be president. Because that's what his parents planned for. Because they knew he could do it. Because he's so smart.
Yeah.
But he's going to work his way up like a working man.
Just gotta look up what the next episode we're doing is.
Ugh, still in season 1?
Yup. We got a ways to go, buddy. Alright. Oh, yeah. Next one is Stay Out of the Basement. 2-parter. Fucking classic. Greatly looking forward to this one.
Seinfeld reference on the next episode.
What? You know, I honestly don't remember if I've even seen it.
Don't
Came from
spoil
Beneath
it!
the Sink. Well, that's just not a spoiler. This is publicly available information. People know the order we're doing this in. Alright, bye. Gooseboyz.